this lesson I'd like to talk about distance or length. This pin is made up of plastic, okay? It's very similar to a line segment. But if I measure this pin, it's about 5 inches long. I wouldn't say that this pin is 5. I would say its length is 5. There's a difference between the pin itself and how long it is. Okay? If I have a segment that goes from point A to point B, and if its length is 9 units, then we call that segment, of course, segment AB, but its length, the length of segment AB, is 9. Well, I want a notation for the length of segment AB. And the notation we use is just the 2 letters, the 2 endpoints, with nothing above them. So when you see that notation, now we're talking about a number. There's segment AB, there's the distance or the length AB. Now, in your algebra class, you dealt with number lines, where you had 0 in the middle and you had the positive numbers to the right of 0 and the negative numbers to the left of 0. Let's say that one point is at the number A and another point is at the number B. Okay? And let's say that we want to find the distance between those 2 points. For example, suppose we have a point over here at -3 and a point over here at +4. And we want to find the distance between them. Well, I hope you remember from your algebra class that all we have to do is subtract. If we take 4 minus -3, that's a distance of 7. Those 2 points are 7 units apart. Now, if we subtract in the wrong order and take the one on the left minus the one on the right, we get -7. Well, sometimes we're not sure which one's on the right and which one's on the left, so there's a way to overcome this. Let's just take the absolute value of our answer, because the absolute value of -7 is +7. If you subtract the number A and B in either order and then take the absolute value of that difference, that'll tell you how far apart those 2 points are. Okay? So, if you're given a number line and you're told that point P is at the number 87 and point Q is at the number 142, and then if the problem says find PQ, see, that doesn't say segment PQ, that says the distance from P to Q. So all you have to do is just take 142 minus 87, and just in case you subtract in the wrong order, take the absolute value of your answer. I guess that's a total of 55. The distance PQ is 55. Now, another question. If I take the number P, which is at 87, and Q, which is at 142, there's a point right in the middle. I'm going to call it M for midpoint. And there's a couple of ways you could find that midpoint. One way would be to take this 55, chop it in half, and add it on to 87. Okay? Or another way would be to take this 55, chop it in half, and subtract it from 142. But actually, there's an easier way. When you have 2 numbers and you want the number that's right in the middle, the quick way is to find their average. That's what an average or a mean does for you. It gives you the number that's right in the middle. So if I wanted to find where m is, I would take 87 and 142, add them together, and divide by 2. That's how you average two numbers, right? You add them together and divide by 2. So let's see. 87 plus 142, that's 229. And when I divide 229 by 2, I get 114 and a half. So that would be the coordinates of point M. It would be right at 114 and a half. Okay? So when you want to find the total distance between 2 points, you subtract. But when you want to find the midpoint, you want to just find the average. Now, one more thing. And again, this is a postulate. If I have a point A and a point B and a point C, and they're all lined up on a line, notice that there are 3 distances here. There's the distance from A to B, and there's the distance from B to C, and there's the distance from A to C. And these 3 distances are related to each other. If you walk from your house to your friend's house, and then walk from your friend's house to school, the total distance you walked was simply that distance plus that distance. Okay? And that's what our postulate says. If 3 points A, B, and C are collinear, that means they're lined up on one line, and B is in between A and C. B is the one that's in between. Then the distance from A to B plus the distance from B to C equals the distance from A to C. This distance plus this distance equals the big distance. Again, that should be an obvious thing. All postulates are supposed to be things that are pretty obvious.